Once again, you are heartily welcome on board the program. If you are just joining us, you are on to press brief for presentation. I am maintaining Larry Kevin Sabot. We start off with the Sun newspaper for today. The publication of Nobel Waso for this morning says Bilingualism Commission, Secretary General, Commissioners in standoff get to read more on that paper on the Bilingualism Commission and promotion of multiculturalism headed by Peter Mafani Musonge. Away from that, we talk another saga this time around with the Catholic Church, the Boya Diocese. It says Bishop B.B. Bosho reconcile, and President Paul Biya has made public health one of the top priorities in Cameroon. That is what the Minister of Public Health, Manaona Malashi, talks on that paper on page 3. We take you to car accident along the Tiku Douala Road leaves Boya business computer technician and businessman dead, and our subdivision has been abandoned by government. That is what the Limbe 3 chiefs cry out in an open letter written to President Paul Biya. Cameroon Bishop denounced same-sex marriage atrocities in the northwest, southwest, and far north regions. We move away from the Sun newspaper. We take you to the next publication for today, The Dawn. The Dawn for today says AFCON 23 anticipation and challenges. That is what the paper from Limbe talks on that set story for today. Limbe military corps commits to more security. That is what you can find on that set publication for this morning. Southwest gears up for trailing 2024 mountain race in the town of Boya. Chief supports reviving my 6 beach of Limbe. You can find that story on that set paper. No to same-sex marriage. Bishops of Cameroon cry after they met for the Episcopal Conference that just ended in the town of Maroua. We take you now to the next publication for this morning. That is The Advocates. The Advocates of Tabetayang Enobika says 2025 presidential elections. Asong Michael Kuba declares candidacy. In that said paper, Diocese of Boya Wahala, it says Bishop Bosho backtracks, why Bibi backpedals. You can find more on The Advocates newspaper for this day. Indomitable Lions draw at AFCON opening match against Guinea-Conakry. And for facelifting my 6 beach, new proprietor Macklins lauded. Get to read that story on that paper for today. Full this is motion full resolution of Limbe City Council session in this edition of the paper of Tabe Tayang for today. We cross over to the next paper, the Median from Yaoundé. The paper of Stephen Ojong for this morning talks of bound to pressure. Government suspends application of obnoxious tax law. You can find that story on that publication for this day on page 7. In that said paper, Kumba Mokonje land saga, evidence that supports Kumba's ownership claim. And we take you to this other story from the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betia Somo. He says MINDEF underscores sacrosanct of discipline in the armed force of Cameroon, and elections Cameroon registers voters by regions as of December 2023. We move away from that publication. We take you now to the next paper of Mutation of Terry Diaga for today says homage, the myth of Joseph Owona. You can find more on that paper for today. Low cost housing, the paper reports on the situation of Olembe in the Olembe neighborhood in Yaoundé. You can find that story on that said paper for today. Cameroon 1, Guinea-Conakry 1. It says a bad start for the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. We move over to Terre Premier Hebdo for this day. It talks about the southwest regions. It says the excellence of perspective. That was an exclusive interview according to Southwest Governor Bernard Okalia Bilai over the pages of that paper of Terre Premier Hebdo. 2024 African Cup of Nations. The paper reports on the poor start of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. We move over to this one on the document that talks of the document that is circulating. What is it all about? You can find more on that paper for this morning for today. We take you now to the next publication, that is Echo Outlook for this morning. It says Cameroon Bishop denounced widespread corruption, poverty, and insecurity. Government embarks 22 billion CFA francs in 2024 to fight against food security. And in this publication, it says as CJS celebrates a year of impact, look towards the future. We move over to debate on release without bail. But I get to read more intricacies on the debate of release without bail. We take you to the hot paper. Quotidien Santé for this morning says the fight against malaria, the vaccine to be administered as from January 22, 2024. You can find that story on that publication of the hot paper for today. 2024 African Cup of Nations, it says a non-governmental organization known as Breakthrough Action promotes vaccination campaigns. And in that said paper, the paper reports are about 613 PMMES have been received within the space of 2 years. We cross over to less than 4 show for this morning. A paper report on Guinea Conakry 1, Cameroon 1. It says the shock of head coach Rigobert's song. And we take you now to the Alliance for Change in the country that does not have confidence with Cameroon, with elections Cameroon Elecam. We move over to this other story on the said paper. Ngando is already in Nigeria, as he says he is traveling to Cote d'Ivoire via roads due to his inability to purchase tickets for Ivory Coast 2023. We move away from that supporter story of the Indomitable Lions to take you to Yaoundé with a Singang for this morning talks of universal health coverage. It says the paper report on this one that says Paul Biya says health is one of his priority, according to Cameroon's Minister of Public Health, Manaona Malashi. We move over to accident. This time around, the paper report on the incessant recurrence of accidents in the country. Quotidien Economy for today report on Marwa and the launching of the state's budget for 2024 that will be conducted today in Marwa by the Minister of Finance, I beg your pardon, Louis Paul Motaze. You can find more on that story on that said publication for today. Economic perspective, it talks of World Bank put on the table an increase in Cameroon when it comes to growth rates and other rates of prosperity in the country. You can find more on the revelation done by World Bank for today. Imports of second-handed vehicle in Cameroon. The paper report on Camis new canal of payment needs to be registered. Get to read that story on Quotidien Economy. We move up to Info Martin for today. Info Martin talks of AFCON 2023. Cameroon 1, Guinea 1. It says it's not a loss for the Indomitable Lions as they have secured a point, according to that publication of Info Martin for today. From Info Martin, we take you to Nigeria with The Nation. The Nation says Tinubu prosperity soon after subsidy removal pains. Get to read that set publication from Nigeria of The Nation. Terrorist bandits on rampage, the paper reports. And in that said paper, the National Petroleum Industry of Nigeria, known by her acronym of NNLPC, a report opens bids to privatize the Port Harcourt refinery in the south of Nigeria. We remain with this said paper. President leaders lot ex-APC chair Ankande at the age of 85. We take you now to another Nigerian publication, The Punch. The Punch says abduction epidemic spreads nationwide as kidnapping for ransom is now fast becoming a new normalcy in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. OPS blames struggling naira for highest inflation in 21 years, while 14 states spend the sum of 21 billion naira on foreign trips despite zero FDI, and EFCC, that's the Economic and Crime Fighting Commission, EFCC, to arraign ex-minister over unpaid sum of 3.6 billion naira loan. We move over to the story that says 69 protesters killed, 189 journalists arrested under the regime of Muhammadu Buhari. That is what the report on page 30 tells us for today. Kidnapping, it says, Wike fiddles with Rivers politics while Abuja bombs. So you can find more on the former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and current minister of the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Let's move back to Cameroon with municipal updates. The paper of Victor Bamacham for today talks of commentary. Southwest Northwest Ghost Town is stoppable. That is what you can find on that paper for today. As 5 years program ends, Nascent Solution counts gains in boosting literacy in the Northwest region. Government institutes mandatory tax certificate for visa application, while Indop Council seeks to advance local development in 2024. Get to read more on the publication of that set Victor's paper for today. Violence in school. The Minister of Secondary Education, Nalova Lyonga, reiterates on zero tolerance policy when it comes to violence in the secondary school sector in the country, Cameroon. Away from that publication, we take you now to breaking news for today. Breaking news says the encounter between the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon and the Guinea team is not satisfactory. That is what you can find on that set paper of breaking news. Import for revenue of personnel physique, he says, it has been suspended by the Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Motaze. That is what breaking news is telling us for this morning. And as I said, breaking news, the paper reports on certain issues that are breaking between a certain mayor and a certain subdivisional officer in one of the sub-districts of Cameroon. Get to read more on the paper of breaking news for today. From that publication of breaking news, viewers, we move over to Luju of Hamana talks of prevention of malaria. It says the vaccine against malaria is there. That is what that paper from Yaoundé is telling us for this morning. AFCON 2023 says the Indomitable Lions failed to carry out their expectation that has been expected from Cameroonians as they held a 1-1 draw with Guinea of Guinea Conakry yesterday. We take you now to Bamenda with the paper The Herald Tribune. The Herald Tribune of Richard Nde Lanjong. It says Douala Yaoundé Express Road Phase 2, government in search of over 899 billion CFA francs for the construction of the unending Douala Yaoundé High Express Road. You get to read that story on that set paper for today. Bamenda inhabitants says Paul Achombong is the worst city mayor. You can find more on that paper for today. CBC Health Services Kamasearch unites to eliminate cervical cancer in Cameroon. And AFCON 2024 colorful opening ceremony on trailing game says Olawashina Olekeji. You can find more on that paper for today. We move over to this other publication for today. That is Quotidien Emergence. Emergence for today reports on the encounter between Guinea and Cameroon. The paper talks of the showcasing, the non-impressive showcasing of the Indomitable Lions last night in Yamoussoukro in Cote d'Ivoire. Jerem, a locality in the northern region that has been threatened by a certain senior divisional officer. Where you get to read that story on that said paper. What's the threat all about? You can find more attempted answers on page 2. And homosexuality couple, a paper report on bishops. African bishop says no to the call of the blessing of same-sex couple by the Vatican. You can find more on that paper for today. Ivorian African Cup of Nations. The paper talks on a forum for investors. Get to read more on that publication for today. We take you now to the next paper we are having for this morning. The Horizon. The Horizon for today talks of despite government aids, CDC accumulates 35 billion CFA francs in salary arrears. Get to read that story on that paper on page 6. An Anglophone crisis. Gendarme officer killed pregnant woman at security control post in Okoyong, Mamfi. We move over to this one. Dr. Merlin Fondo, appointed executive director of the Nkafu Policy Institute. You can find that story on page 8. And the current regime is at its wits, says Dr. Asho Joachim Are. You can find more on the think tank personnel would gives more revelation on that. Let's make a stop over with a code du Parlement for today report on the Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, as the paper reports that some 115 bishops of Cameroon were honored over there at Royal Palace of Kolkush by Honorable Kavayegeshi Prior. You can find that story on that publication of Echo du Parlement for this morning. From Echo du Parlement, viewers, we move over to the next paper, the sports paper for today. Punch Sports Extra says Yusuf rejected, man turns Eagles most cherished. And in that set paper, Camara braces as Senegal beats Gambia in a 3-0 victory over there in Ivory Coast. Messi Mata shines at FIFA Best Award. And we take you to United ready to hijack Gisiri move. And let's make a stop over with Cameroon versus Guinea. It says ends in stalemate. That is what the sports paper reports on the various sports story that you can find juicy. And we cannot go without visiting this match in Saudi Arabia between Cameroon's champion Francis Ngannou and Nigerian British champion Anthony Joshua. He says the match have been built for the 8th of March 2024, as it titles that Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua faced off in Saudi Arabia. From that match in Saudi Arabia, it ushers us to Info Show. Info Show says Guinea 1, Cameroon 1. The non-impressive one of the supporters of the Indomitable Lions, that is Ngando Piqué. He says Ngando Piqué is already in Nigeria as he is traveling to Ivory Coast on road, as he cannot afford flight tickets from Douala to Abidjan or Yamoussoukro. Get to read that story on Info Show for today. From Info Show, we move over to the next paper of Integration. Integration for today talks of talks of the African Cup of Nations unfolding in Ivory Coast, as the paper reports on impressive turnout of the various supporters and spectators that are flooding the various stadia across Ivory Coast. You can find that story on that set paper on page 3. We take you to talk something else with this other people, with this set paper. The Ministry of Finance, it talks of a circular of the finance law for 2024. What's it all about? Get a copy of Integration newspaper for this morning. From Integration newspaper, we move over to La Ciable for today. It talks of the big lies of Maona Malachi. What are the universal health coverage? Get to read that story on La Ciable for this morning. From Industry La Ciable, the touristic express interurban bus services, this paper report on how she has resumed transportation of goods and services across certain localities in the country, according to La Ciable for today. We'll take you now to the UK with The Guardian. The Guardian for today says Defiant Houthis attack a cargo ship as conflict worsened in the Middle East. And in that said paper, the paper talks of a definite possibility was this Andy Murray last match in Australia. That's the question the Guardian is asking for this morning. Rwanda builds parks revolt from Tory rights. We move over to the British Sun. The Sun says Kylie to be that again, and in that said paper, the paper reports on this exclusive stars baby number 6. What's it all about? You can find more on that publication for today. The Daily Telegraph for this morning says Tory deputy chairman to rebel over Rwanda bill, and the Iowa caucus of the Republican in the United States of America. What is the stakes for former President Donald Trump? You can find more perspective on that publication of the Daily Telegraph for this morning. From the Daily Telegraph, we take you to this one. From the Daily Mirror. Daily Mirror says exclusive royal row, name calling. You can find more on the unending saga of the British royals. And let's take a stop over with Rwanda flight still in us it's still in asylum hotels 18 months later. Let's come back home to Cameroon with this publication we are having for this morning. We take you to this Cameroonian publication of L'Inde de Horizon. The paper report on the perspective of the political year. You can find more on L'Inde de Horizon newspaper for today. Unending homage keep on pouring on the former Minister of National Education and former Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Joseph Owona. And the perspective of the political year, the paper have a dissect of some leading politicians. You have the likes of Cabral Libre, Serge Espoir Matomba, Michel Oyan, and others who are giving their political takes on the political year of politics in the country. We move away from L'Inde de Horizon. We take a stop over with Terre Promis Hebdo.